Bob and Linda Martinez thought they'd done everything right. After 37 years in Ohio, they bought their dream retirement home in Cape Coral for $415,000 in March 2022. Palm trees, canal access, the whole Florida fantasy. But last Tuesday morning, Linda opened Zillow while drinking her coffee and nearly dropped her mug. Their home's estimated value, $375,000. That's $40,000 gone. And here's where it gets worse. Zillow's algorithm predicts another 10.2% drop by the end of 2026. We followed all the rules Bob told me over the phone, his voice cracking. Good neighborhood, newer construction, away from flood zones. How does a computer in Seattle know something about our street that we don't? That question haunts more than just the Martinez family, because what Bob doesn't know yet, what most Florida homeowners don't know, is that Zillow's algorithms are seeing something humans keep missing. Across the state, in towns that real estate agents still call hot markets, the machines are screaming warnings, not gentle corrections, not seasonal dips, catastrophic value predictions that would turn retirement dreams into financial nightmares. I've spent 3 months analyzing Zillow's data on every incorporated city in Florida with over 10,000 residents. Cross-referenced with insurance claims, population shifts, and something called the Inventory Spiral Index. What I found should terrify anyone who owns property in these 10 specific towns, because the algorithms aren't just predicting price drops, they're identifying a pattern that connects hurricane insurance, buyer psychology, and a demographic time bomb that's already ticking. Cape Coral is just the beginning. The Martinez family's $40,000 loss? That's the gentle version of what's coming. In some towns, Zillow's projections show drops that would erase a decade of equity in 18 months. Towns where for sale signs already outnumber palm trees, where insurance companies have quietly tripled rates or simply stopped answering the phone. But here's what really keeps me up at night. The algorithms might be optimistic because they can't factor in what happens when everyone realizes the truth at the same time. The truth hit me when I pulled up Detroit's numbers for comparison. Motor City, the poster child for urban decline, is showing a 2.1% projected gain through 2026. Cleveland, up 1.4%. Buffalo, holding steady. Meanwhile, Florida's statewide average just went negative for the first time since 2011, down 3.7% while the rest of America climbed 0.3%. Think about that. The Sunshine State is now performing worse than the Rust Belt in Zillow's models. Dr. Rachel Yamamoto, who helped design Zillow's neural networks before leaving to teach at MIT, explained it to me at 2 a.m. over a crackling Zoom call from Tokyo. The algorithm doesn't care about palm trees or beach proximity, she said, adjusting her glasses. It sees patterns humans rationalize away. When inventory sits for 83 days in Florida versus 53 days nationally, when 44% of listings show price cuts versus 34% everywhere else, that's not a market. That's an avalanche in slow motion. The data gets worse when you zoom in. These aren't random dots on a map. They're 10 specific towns where the algorithm's confidence intervals have narrowed to a knife's edge. Port Charlotte, negative 18.3% by December 2026. Lehigh Acres, negative 21.7%. Spring Hill, negative 19.8%. Numbers so precise they feel like a medical diagnosis. Terminal, I called 17 real estate agents in these towns. 12 didn't call back, 3 laughed nervously and said Zillow doesn't understand Florida. 2 hung up when I mentioned the projections. Only Michelle Reeves in Northport would talk on record. My last 3 buyers pulled out after their insurance quotes came back, she said. One couple from New Jersey, their annual premium would have been $14,000 for a $290,000 house. They literally cried in my office. But insurance is just one variable in Zillow's apocalyptic math. The algorithm tracked something else, the vanishing buyer. In 2019, the typical Florida home buyer was 42 years old, had 2 kids, worked remotely twice a week. Today, they're 57, downsizing, and increasingly asking one question before making offers. What will this be worth when I need to sell? The algorithm knows the answer. It's mapping a future where demand evaporates faster than morning dew on hot pavement, where every seller becomes desperate at the same time, where the feedback loop, dropping prices, creating more fear, creating more drops, becomes unstoppable. Michael Chen, a data scientist who reverse-engineered parts of Zillow's model, showed me his screen at a coffee shop in Orlando. Lines of code scrolled past like a digital prophecy. "Look at this correlation," he whispered, pointing to a cluster of red dots. "These 10 towns aren't just declining, they're leading indicators. What happens there spreads." Which brings us to the first town on our list, where paradise is already becoming a prison. Naples. The crown jewel of Southwest Florida, where million-dollar mansions line streets named after Italian poets, and the median home price once climbed faster than a SpaceX rocket. But pull up Zillow's forecast map, and Naples glows the darkest red, -9% year over year. Not projected, already happening. Right now, while real estate agents still hand out glossy brochures promising endless appreciation. Jennifer Walsh listed her Naples condo in August for $875,000. The same unit sold for $840,000 just 2 years ago. She felt confident, but September came. Then October. The price dropped to $825,000, then $799,000. Last week, she accepted an offer for $745,000. The buyer's agent actually smirked, she told me, her voice hollow, said his client might walk if we didn't throw in the furniture. That smirk represents something darker than negotiation. It's the face of buyers who've seen Zillow's predictions, who know that waiting 6 months might save them another $70,000. The algorithm tracked this psychological shift months before humans noticed. When buyers believe prices will fall, they create the very collapse they're betting on. Cape Coral tells an even grimmer story, already down 11% from its 2022 peak, with Zillow projecting another 10.2% plunge. The city now holds 7.6 months of inventory, nearly triple the balanced market level. Drive down Pelican Boulevard at sunset and you'll count 14 for sale signs in a half-mile stretch. 3 have been there since spring. The grass grows tall around posts that nobody bothers to straighten anymore. But here's what the raw numbers miss. Cape Coral built itself on a promise: affordable waterfront living for middle-class retirees. That promise is drowning. The median seller will lose $26,624 if Zillow's projections hold. For someone on a fixed income, that's not a paper loss. That's 2 years of Social Security. That's the difference between staying in Florida and moving back north to live with adult children. Punta Gorda completes this trinity of Gulf Coast collapse. The algorithm shows -7.97% ahead, but dig deeper into the data and you'll find something scarier. Vacation rental licenses surged 400% between 2020 and 2023. Every third house became an Airbnb. Now occupancy rates have crashed to 43%, empty pools growing algae. Investors who leveraged everything, discovering that passive income can actively destroy wealth. The pattern is clear. These aren't random failures. They're the first dominoes in a chain reaction that's spreading north and inland. Jacksonville was supposed to be different. Florida's largest city by population, Fortune 500 headquarters, a real job market beyond tourism and retirement. The kind of place where families put down roots, where schools matter more than beach proximity. But pull up Zillow's latest data, and Jacksonville leads a list nobody wants to top. The biggest home price drop among America's 40 largest cities. Down $16,000 in 12 months. The median home now sits at $322,000, a 2.4% decline, while places like Detroit show gains. Think about that for a second. The city that epitomizes American economic decline is outperforming Florida's biggest employment hub. The algorithm sees what Chamber of Commerce brochures desperately hide. When a city built on stable jobs starts bleeding value, it's not a correction, it's a verdict. Sarah Thompson moved her 3 kids to Jacksonville's Mandarin neighborhood in 2021. Software engineer, good salary, chose the area for its A-rated schools. We did everything right, she told me, standing in her kitchen while her youngest practiced violin upstairs, checked the flood maps, researched the schools, even talked to neighbors about their insurance rates. Her voice drops. Nobody mentioned that half the houses on our street have been for sale since January. The algorithm caught something Sarah's research missed. Jacksonville's job growth stalled 8 months ago. Not crashing, just stopped. Like a heart skipping beats before the attack, tech companies quietly froze hiring. The medical corridor shed 1,200 positions. Even the military contractors started offering buyouts. When your biggest selling point is employment stability and the jobs go soft, the housing market doesn't decline. It capitulates. Lakeland tells an even darker story. CoreLogic, not Zillow, but CoreLogic, the company banks trust for risk assessment, ranked it the second riskiest market in all of Florida. Let that sink in. Insurance companies use CoreLogic data to decide where not to write policies. When they label your town second riskiest in a state full of hurricane targets, they're not predicting price drops. They're predicting abandonment. But here's what turns my stomach. Lakeland's marketing still promises affordable family living to young couples fleeing Miami's prices. They show up with moving trucks and hope, not knowing they're walking into Florida's highest foreclosure risk outside the Panhandle. The algorithm tracked the pattern. Starter homes sitting 127 days average, while sellers still price like it's 2021. That gap between expectation and reality, that's where financial dreams go to die. Pensacola completes this trifecta of family market collapse. Home values already down 3.6%, with 30% of all listings showing price cuts. But the number that made me close my laptop and walk outside, Zillow's forecast score, 33 out of 100. When an algorithm trained on millions of transactions gives your city a failing grade that brutal, it's not analysis anymore. It's an autopsy of a market that's already dead, but doesn't know it yet. The tourist corridors tell an even darker story about Florida's economic foundation. West Palm Beach should have been bulletproof. International airport, beaches that charge admission, the kind of wealth that usually insulates against downturns. But Zillow's algorithm doesn't care about Ferraris and driveways. It sees a 5.1% projected drop hitting a market where the median home already costs $508,000. Do the math. That's $25,908 in equity evaporating. For properties near the water where insurance premiums now exceed mortgage payments, the losses cut deeper. Marcus Williams bought his West Palm condo in 2021 for $445,000. Investment property, he figured. Rent it to snowbirds, build equity, maybe retire there himself someday. Last month, his insurance company sent a letter, not a renewal notice, a cancellation. Exposure reassessment, they called it. The replacement quote he got? $22,000 annually. His mortgage is $2,100 a month. His insurance would be $1,833. The unit next door just sold for $398,000. But here's what keeps data scientists awake. West Palm's decline is accelerating. First quarter showed minus 1.2%, second quarter minus 1.8%, third quarter minus 2.1%. The algorithm isn't just tracking a decline, it's mapping an exponential curve. When wealthy markets crack, they don't decline gradually, they cliff dive. Sarasota County makes West Palm look stable, already down 9% just in the fourth quarter of 2025, with Zillow projecting another 5.2% drop ahead. The county that once symbolized cultured retirement, opera houses, art galleries, pristine beaches, now holds 9.8 months of inventory. Nearly 10 months of homes just sitting. In real estate, that's not a buyer's market. That's a desert where sellers die of thirst. If you're thinking of moving to Florida, or if you already own property in any of these 10 towns, what comes next is specifically for you, because the pattern gets worse. But before I show you the final piece of this puzzle, the one that connects all 10 towns in a way that will change how you see Florida forever, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that button now, because what I'm about to reveal about Orlando will shock even the skeptics. You know what these numbers mean for your future, but the complete Florida buy and avoid list for 2026 breaks down all 40 towns I've analyzed, 20 where values might actually rise, and 20 you should avoid entirely. Real data for each town, not just projections. You can find it at floridapulse.gumroad.com/l/ebook. But stay with me here, because Orlando's story shows why even Disney can't save you anymore. Orlando. The name itself means tourism, theme parks, conventions, eternal summer vacation. The algorithm shows $415,000 median price dropping 1.2%, but that's not the scary part. It's the jobs. Orlando lost 11,000 tourism positions in the last 6 months, not seasonal layoffs, permanent cuts. When the city built on Mickey Mouse starts bleeding hospitality jobs, it's like Vegas running out of dice. Kissimmee tells the final chapter. Osceola County's vacation rental permits increased 600% during COVID. Every garage became a studio apartment, every house a potential Airbnb. Now, occupancy below 40%, empty properties flooding the market. The algorithm sees what's coming. When investors realize the vacation rental dream is dead, they'll all sell at once. That's not a correction, that's a stampede. Behind these numbers lies a perfect storm that Zillow's algorithms are finally capturing. Pattern 1, insurance companies fleeing faster than Hurricane Ian's storm surge. When State Farm stopped writing new policies, humans called it temporary market adjustment. The algorithm saw the first crack in the dam. It tracked claim denials up 340%, premium increases averaging $8,400 annually. And this chilling statistic, 17% of Florida homeowners now pay more for insurance than their mortgage principal. The machine understood what that meant, forced sellers incoming. Bob and Linda Martinez called me back yesterday. Remember them? The Ohio couple who lost $40,000 on paper while drinking morning coffee. They've made a decision that perfectly captures Florida's new reality. We're listing next month, Bob said, his voice steadier now. Taking the loss, moving to North Carolina where our daughter lives. Linda grabbed the phone. The algorithm knows something. When computers in Seattle understand our neighborhood better than we do, it's time to listen. They're not alone. Zillow's data shows something unprecedented. More Florida sellers accepting losses than any time since 2009. Not because they have to, because they see what's coming. The Martinez family calculated their real cost of staying. Property taxes climbing, insurance potentially doubling again, HOA fees rising to cover neighbors who stopped paying. Even if Zillow's wrong and prices stabilize, they'd need 5 years just to break even on carrying costs. But here's what should terrify current owners. Bob and Linda are the early movers, the ones who can still sell. When everyone realizes the same truth simultaneously, who's left to buy? Dr. Yamamoto from MIT sent me one final chart at 4 a.m. It shows Florida's population growth rate, the state's economic oxygen, hitting a 20-year low. For the first time since reliable records began, more Americans are leaving Florida than moving in. The algorithm saw this inflection point 6 months before the census data confirmed it. When the state that defined American growth starts shrinking, it's not a phase, it's a paradigm shift. The new Florida calculation is brutal. Take your current equity, subtract Zillow's projected losses, add 5 years of insurance increases, factor in the probability of a major hurricane. Now compare that to putting the same money in treasury bonds. For most owners in these 10 towns, selling at a loss today beats holding and praying. This isn't the Florida story we grew up with, the one where buying anywhere meant guaranteed appreciation, where insurance was an afterthought and climate risk meant occasionally boarding windows. The algorithms have rewritten that story. They're showing us a Florida where location isn't just everything, it's existential, where the difference between the right town and wrong town isn't profit versus smaller profit, it's survival versus financial ruin. The Florida dream isn't dead, but it needs a data-driven reality check, because the algorithms don't care about palm trees or paradise. They only care about what the numbers say. And right now, the numbers are screaming. But here's the twist that changes everything. While these 10 towns spiral downward, the algorithm identified something extraordinary happening just miles away. Towns where insurance companies are actually competing for business, where inventory stays below 2 months, where young families are moving in, not out. The contrast is so stark, it feels like 2 different states existing side by side. Take Winter Garden, just 20 minutes from collapsing Kissimmee. Same climate, same hurricane risk, but Zillow shows positive 3.2% growth projected through 2026. The difference? Data shows 73% of buyers are families with school-age children, compared to 31% in Kissimmee. The algorithm tracked school ratings, crime statistics, and something called Community Stability Index. When neighborhoods fill with owners instead of investors, the math changes completely. The pattern repeats across Florida. For every Lakeland bleeding value, there's a Weston gaining it. For every Port Charlotte in free fall, a St. Augustine holding steady. The algorithm isn't just mapping decline, it's revealing a massive wealth transfer happening in real time. Money flowing from vulnerable markets to resilient ones, from speculative towns to fundamental ones. From the Florida of yesterday to the Florida of tomorrow. Understanding this shift could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars or cost you everything if you're on the wrong side of it.